I've been doing a sailing course over the last few weeks, and I've really wanted to learn how a sailboat worked. I kind of knew the physics, but I actually really wanted to feel what it was like to be in a tiny boat out on the water, experiencing wind and shifts and currents and all that sort of thing. And I've had 3 lessons, and on the first day there was very little wind. In fact, we had to be towed out, and it was like really flight fluffy, and it was really hard going. We really struggled to get moving. We did, however, practice capsizing and how to get the boat righted and ourselves back into the boat, which was kind of good because the next day, the next day that we went out sailing, there was a lot of wind, so much so that the boat capsized, and we righted it, and I didn't manage to get back in the boat, and the boat took off. I needed rescuing, but that's another story for another time. Um, on the third time we went out, there were better ones. They were more consistent. They weren't quite so strong. They weren't quite so light. Still some light patches, but there were times when the wind just came and just caused our little boat to speed ahead, and it was so exciting. And one of those times, I was actually on the tiller. I was actually steering the boat, and the wind came and it filled our sails, and we were off. And so much so that a fellow sailor and we had to lean out. You know how you see it, these guys leaning out over the side of the boat to try and give it some balance. And I was steering it to get the most lift out of the boat, and it was just going. It was fun, it was excitement, it was happiness. And it was like we'd captured an invisible force, the wind, and we were being powered by it. Then, as quickly as the wind came, the wind died away. So we might have been sailing like that for about 5 minutes. It was really cool. And then we just left dead in the water, and we were looking around for the next breeze. But in the crew, there's 4 of us, a coach and 3 students, we were buzzing. There was high fives, there was smiles, there was joy and happiness. Um, I received an email a little while ago where the writer said that some people had told her that God wasn't concerned with her happiness. And I really felt for her because I've had those messages at times too. Messages both verbal and non-verbal. Messages that say you need to deny yourself even the basics of happiness. That the Christian life is meant to be one of deprivation and struggle. Deny yourself, self-sacrifice, and always put other people's happiness first. And that's wrong. Okay, it's actually it's a joint thing of actually caring for yourself, and out of that care you give to others, and there's a happiness and found in that. That's another story. Maybe even people have conveyed that God has bigger issues to deal with compared to your happiness. What about world peace? Surely here God has more concern about poverty, those dying of cancer, wars, famines, etc., compared to your happiness. And all of these messages that you get um, from people, churches, counsellors, others, they can really have a debilitating effect on a wounded heart. Things like, you're too small to matter to God. You know, others' happiness is more important than your own. You come second, or even 100th, or even 1,000th to the other's needs. That happiness is not for now, in this lifetime. At the moment, it's all hard work, self deprivation, and suffering. Ugh. And any happiness you are experiencing is actually at the expense of others. I put in my blog, Barry, you should have given that money you spent on that sailing course to the poor. Well, I give money to the poor, okay? But I think God actually wants me to experience some things so that I can give out of that happiness. Another thought is there is scarcity. There is not enough happiness for everyone. Look, I believe God, who holds all things together, that's Colossians 1:16-18, holds all things together, holds us and our happiness as a part of a desire for us. But am I to chase after happiness? Is happiness to be my central focus? If so, then I'm no better than a hedonistic narcissist living up like a self-centered life devoted to pleasure, enjoyment, and self-indulgence at the cost of others. Yes, I don't want that. No. It's interesting that the type of boat that I'm learning how to sail in is called a Quest. That's the class of boat, and it was specifically designed for learning it. So it's really comfortable, and there's not so much danger of booms banging into your head. It's really set up for newbies like me. And we rookie sailors, we are on a quest, both literally and figuratively. When we're out in the water, we are on a quest for wind. But out there, I'm on a quest to learn. Okay, I'm on a quest to learn about wind and waves, the sails and the sea, capsizing, getting the boat upright, rescuing, as my case the other day. And the meaning of the word quest is a long and arduous search for something. You see, for me, I am on a quest to know God. That's my number one thing. And in this quest, I will experience times of flying along at speeds and sometimes sitting in the doldrums for the lack of wind. Sometimes I might even need rescuing. Times when I can't do something for myself and I need someone else to help me. And perhaps that feeling of happiness, that emotion of happiness, is kind of a byproduct of knowing God in good times and tough times. It's it's a byproduct of knowing God in depth. And so much so that even people who have suffered a lot, they can still know happiness because they have developed to know God even more than the circumstances around them. And I think God wants you to be happiness. And there is happiness on the other side of the quest, and there is a happiness in the quest. And Jesus tells three parables in response to a lot of muttering by self righteous people about his delight in bringing happiness to the broken, the lost, and the poor. And all these parables conclude with a state of happiness and joy. They are the parables of the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost son. Something precious is lost, but after some time and some seeking, a quest, that which was lost is returned, and happiness and joy abound. There is joy and happiness, but I find that it is on the other side of the quest, and it's through the quest that we discover happiness. We value happiness even more once we know what it's like not to have it. And for me, some of the deepest moments of joy and happiness have been when a quest with many questions has been resolved. And even in writing this particular post and other posts, there is a struggle, there is effort. I'm working at it. There's a quest, and at the end of it, there's happiness. I'm feeling quite happy with what I've written here. There's happiness, and the happiness, of getting out there and people reading it and sharing it, and possibly emailing me and a discussion and hopefully some change. There's a happiness in that, and there's a happiness to know that posts I wrote 10 years ago are still helping people. Amazing. Um, there's also happiness I have found where there's been a long and arduous quest with someone, all right, walking with someone. And then they're finding the answers, some hope, some delight. And it's like a providential wind has filled their sails and there's joy, deep joy. When a wind hits the sail of a boat, and the boat moves ahead, it's called lift. All right, it's much the same as what you see when an aeroplane, and the wind comes the aeroplane and the wing lifts up, and there's a lift. And I found that the other day when I was out there sailing, that there was lift, and there was a lift in my emotions. And if you come out to the blog post, actually, I've got a little exercise at the bottom where I say, what has caused you to lift? in the last week. Look, I didn't go sailing alone. I went with each other, with others, all right? And we helped each other. And in the moments when we were dead in the water, we cheered each other on. We looked for wind shifts. We looked for the merest of breezes. We also had a coach, and he is very skilled, and he is teaching us about the quest. Okay, and I asked him why he enjoyed sailing, and he immediately responded with one word: freedom. He could get in a tiny little boat, set the sail, and be off. And there was a freedom to feel the wind and find movement forward. And in the quest of just going out in a boat and sailing, he found happiness. All right, probably found frustration in the doldrums and the quiet spots, but there was an overall happiness. And look, when you're recovering from trauma, PTSD, all sorts of struggles in life, you really need others to help you find a little breeze, a little providential filling of the sails. All right, others to help you know that you are loved, you are held, you are known. Hey, if you want to email me, my email address is in the bottom of the post. Share this post with some other people. Other people need to hear this story. Yeah, come over to the blog post and read it, and email me. I'd love to hear from my readers. That gives me a lift. Okay, bye.